Joyfully shining your light. Let's dissect the title. First, we'll start with joy. As a kid, when did you experience joy? Christmas time brings lots of joy. Eating. Foodie. Playing. And what did you play?
Hopscotch, jump rope,
Games. Free-spirited, yes? Climb a tree. New Converse tennis shoes. Wow. Fun. Pets. Pets bring joy. Decorating for the holiday. Music. What? Bicycle riding. I'm with you. Hot chocolate. Candy. Sugar. Friends and relatives. That heart connection. Do those activities still continue to bring you joy as an adult? I'm not talking about alcohol. So for myself, as a kid, I was joyful being outside. I rode my bike a lot. I frequently played hide and go seek. We had a neighborhood that was like a large rectangle that was, there was only two ways to get in and out. We used to ride our bicycles hiding in yards and behind cars. And then, of course, when they saw you, you had to race back to the main home point before they got there. I also loved music, played guitar frequently, and actually played for a folk group that played for Sunday night mass. So, yes, those things still bring me joy today, 50 years later. So I still love being outdoors. Little did I know when I was a kid that the bike riding would transform into mountain bike riding, which allows me to go into nature, and I like hiking too, but you get to go a lot farther and a lot faster when you're on the bike. And while I don't play guitar as much, I certainly still love music. And it's no mistake that I only live 2 blocks from Bidwell Park. So it's my connection both to nature as well as exercising that continues to bring me joy today. So, are you still creating time for those joys? Because I will put a plug in for you have an opportunity tonight to bring your inner child, as Reverend Lisa would say, and come have some fun. Santa, music, gingerbread houses. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. Now, truly, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, this season is a call to your joy. But it means 2 things. One, you need to know what brings you joy. And it may not be the same things as when you were a kid. In other words, when you were a kid, you maybe didn't have children or grandchildren, right? So there may be new things that bring you joy. And then you need to create time to be in that joy. Now, would you say that there are some things that bring us perhaps all joy? But there are things that may bring me joy that don't bring you joy and vice versa, yes? But how do we all really know what joy is? If your joy is riding motorcycles and my joy is playing music, what's the one common truth in all of that experience? Joy. And so it is with many other attributes. In other words, the truth of joy, peace, abundance, gratitude, we may not experience in the material world the same expression in our life, but we're all connected by those truths, by those experiences. Now, joy is always available, and I know for some, this Christmas season may not be a time of joy for whatever reason. You may not sometimes feel that joy, see that joy, experience that joy. But just because you don't see it or feel it, does it mean that it's not there? It's still there. It's still there. Just awaiting your recognition. And matter of fact, when I said, what brings you joy? Where did you go? To a place that brings you joy. All right, let's talk about shining your light. Shine. How would you define shine? Radiance. Glisten. Energy. Sparkle. Light. Joy. Uplifting words. Smiling. Now I have a challenge for you. If you were talking to a blind person, how would you describe shine? Yes. In other words, you have to transpose from visual to sensory or, hearing. And what kept coming to me when I was like, wow, what would I transpose shining to? What kept coming to me was going like this, in their hand to feel the radiance, as you noted. So is it true that we can still experience, even though we may have a different language or material way of expressing? Yes. I also thought about a transposition for blind and trying to explain shining might be to take them into the sun. Especially in Chico, right? Shine! Intensity. Shine! Now, shine your light. Your light. So I went to the Science of Mind textbook. For those of you who don't know, this is our founder and the philosophy. And wow, he had almost a whole page to describe light. In flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. Jesus, after a period of illumination, his face was so bright, his followers could not look upon him. In the moments of deepest realization, the great mystics have sensed that there is one life that flows through all. That we are all some part of that life. They have seen a substance, a fine, white, brilliant stuff, forever falling into everything. A substance indestructible and eternal. The realization has been so complete that the mystics have actually been blinded by the light. Light was the first revelation of divine creative energy that called all livings into being. Now, in the time of Jesus, could they scientifically say that you are light? But how many times did Jesus say, you are the light? I am the light, as in the I am oneness. I am the light. And this isn't figurative anymore. In 2009, Japanese researchers had created cameras that were ultra sensitive to light. And they actually put human beings in the dark and saw the light. Which means you are never in the darkness. because your own being is an illumination. It's just that your eyes can't see that. Does that mean it's not there? Do you see those things, or do you see evidence of those things? So just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And for those of you a little more scientific or academic, we know that there's an electromagnetic spectrum of energy. And it's measured based on frequency and wavelengths. So do we see radio waves, radar, microwaves, or infrared? Are they there? Those frequencies are below what our eyes can see. And we don't see ultraviolet, X-rays, or gamma rays. Those frequencies are above what our eyes can see. But what do we see? We see visible light, red being the low energy rainbow color of lights we see, and purple being the high energy of light that we see visually. So that means a typical human eye will respond to a light frequency that is 430 to 770 terahertz. You got terahertz? For those of you who are computer people, it was megabytes, gigabytes, then come terabytes. Okay, that may not mean anything. Okay. Terahertz would be 10 to the 14th power. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 14 times. And as Sherry Line Coyle could probably tell me, our general human healthy frequency is within the range of 62 to 72 hertz. Hertz. So, yes, when the lights turn out in the room, we actually do glow, but the light is about 1,000 times, thousands of times, frankly, less than what we can see. Not only that, the researchers found out that the amount of light emitted follows a 24-hour cycle. At its highest is in the late afternoon, and the lowest is at night. And that the brightest light is emitted from cheeks, forehead, and neck. Which I thought that was interesting. I would have expected it to be the heart. And if you've ever been to the HeartMath website, the toroidal image of how our heart and heart energy goes back around, comes back up through us this way. So that's sort of fascinating, but we're still learning, right? So now let's put it all together. Joyfully shining your light. Joyfully shining your light. Funny how just an inflection can change things, right? 'Tis the season to joyfully shine your light. Okay. I'm going to do a little exercise now. I always say to Spirit as I'm creating my lesson, and even on the morning of the lesson, I am the vehicle and vessel of your love and message. I get out of the way and I allow you to move through me. I have to tell you, sometimes I go, is that a stupid idea or is that Spirit? And then it's like, there is no stupid, everything is Spirit. Okay! And this just kept coming to me because I felt like sometimes when you walk out of here, you may not remember exactly what God said. And sometimes the reason why we put so much emphasis in visual is because visual impacts us. We take in a lot of those senses. So I want to forewarn people that the lights are going to go off, and I'm going to be acting out some things with a little light. And your job is to just observe. Observe my actions over the next few minutes Consider how my actions may be a metaphor for what we do in our lives. Some of you may not be able to see everything that I'm doing. That's okay, because we all have different perspectives in life, don't we? And when I get through with this, we'll all come back together and share what we observed. So, lights off, please. Awakening is our theme for 2018. Will you join us? Okay. Thank you. All right. How was any of that a metaphor for life? Where shall you begin, huh? Searching. Lost. You're never in the dark, are you? Okay.
I love the part when you were stuck. When sometimes we feel stuck. You were stuck between control and love and let go. And I'm sure amongst many other people have experienced that, but that was the funniest part because you get stuck so much between the control and the love.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, right. Spring? You like the labyrinth, which it could also be a maze and getting stuck in the middle. What else does going round and round on the carpet mean?
You weren't comfortable and then you got more comfortable, but then you didn't want to step outside your comfort zone.
Excellent. That's right. And if you're going to awaken, is it going to be comfortable? Not until you establish a new normal, right? As your world turns. I think that used to be a daily soap opera. Did you notice where I was shining my light? Does that reflect where you allow your thoughts to wander? And do you keep yourself frequently in the details of the routines and maybe the materialistic world because you're comfortable? That's where the light is. But why is the light there? Because that's where you're shining your light. And then when you come to this awareness of all these other things going in your life that are not about the details, but you'll notice I stayed on each of those because, as you mentioned, Natalie, sometimes we get stuck in our anger or stuck in our control. Stuck in that feeling, absolutely. And then what happens with your light is instead of looking down and rehearsing in your mind and in your consciousness, which means you have to become aware of how much you're repeating the same stories. I think the number is like 70% of our thoughts we repeat over and over. That's why we want them to be good and filled with unlimited possibilities. Yes? Okay. So here's the deal. He won't get it until we go deeper. And I mean that very sincerely. When we talk about the Center for Spiritual Living, Chico, a vision that I literally put out there is, at one point I said, if CSL Chico went away, who would notice? Well, those in the room would notice. What about the Chico community? And so what I'm saying in response to that is, we must go deeper in knowing and becoming aware of our own shining our light joyfully. And do you think that'll be attractive to some folks? Why? You know, it's not hard whether I'm not even paying attention to politics, whether you're watching TV, whether you're in the stores. Does it feel like chaos and noise and overwhelming and information overload? Do you feel any of that? Yes. And that's why we must do our spiritual practice. Because before we leave our house, we need to be centered in shining our light on the reality of our illumination. And then, by law of attraction, then Chico will know where CSL Chico is, what we do, and what we believe. And if we can lift our own organization and Chico, the community, up, then we continue to ripple out. So it's not a direct response, because people who don't want to hear it aren't going to hear it. However, the more we can shine our light with the brilliance, illumination, the fully expressing the joy within, just again by law of attraction, people will want to be in our presence, because they don't know it by their visual, but they will know that we are shining our light. Namaste.